MLB free agency continues to take shape, as last night four-time All-Star Kyle Tucker agreed to a 4-year, $240 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Today, former Blue Jays shortstop Bo Bichette agreed to a 3-year, $126 million contract with the New York Mets, and Philadelphia Phillies catcher and first baseman JT Realmuto agreed to a 3-year, $45 million deal to remain with the team. Last night, Vanderbilt women's basketball defeated the Mississippi State Bulldogs 89-84 in Starkville, improving to 18-0 on the season. This marks the Commodores' best start in program history, as they'll get set for a matchup with the number 8 ranked Michigan Wolverines on Monday. You can listen to coverage live on 94.9 The Fan, pregame beginning at 1:15. Lastly, the Nashville Predators face off against the division rival Colorado Avalanche tonight in Denver, with puck drop beginning at 8 p.m. The Predators come into the night just 3 points outside the final wildcard spot in the West, while the Avalanche lead the NHL with 74 points in the standings.
For more, log on to theGameNashville.com. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a Friday from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. And they got a big tournament going on here. They got a bunch of folks in here. And not that that will affect what we're doing, but just thought I'd kind of throw it out there. We got a lot of folks here. By the way, the rain should be hitting the Nashville area today about 5 o'clock. So if you're out driving at that point, beware. Kelly Holcomb, not with us today, as is the case virtually every week. He'll be back with us on Monday. Parker Kelly is in here. Parker, have you ever gotten caught singing in the car and had somebody in another car catch you?
Yeah, it's happened before, but the thing about it is when I sing, I know I'm not a good singer, but I don't really care if anybody catches me because we all do it, if we're being honest.
To the woman who started staring at me, the song was Smoke from a Distant Fire by the Sanford Townsend Band.
Did someone give you a bad look in the car or something while you were singing?
Kind of what are you doing?
Dude, tell her you're singing, George. Everybody does it.
At the end of the song, it's a great shower song.
Yeah.
Anyway, back at the station, if you have the ability to pull some bump music out of Smoke from a Distant Fire, Sanford Townsend Band, you might make my day. What do you got going on?
In terms of the update or just in general?
In general.
I got a lot of football to watch this weekend. I know my wife and I were hosting a watch party for the Bears on Sunday night. We're very excited. I got a weird feeling today that the Bears are going to pull this one off, and I don't know why.
Well, as I'm going to get to later, the worse the weather, and the weather doesn't look like it's very good up there, the worse that the conditions are, to me, favors the Bears. The Rams aren't used to this. They play on artificial grass. Indoors. They never deal with any elements. And they're going to go to Chicago, and they're going to deal with the windiest of windy and the rawest of raw.
I saw today on ESPN that the wind chill is supposed to make it feel like -8.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford is 1-9 in games, I believe, when it's below freezing.
Do your update. Get it started. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Okay, so we're on our own here for the update. That's perfectly fine. But first, let me remind you, we'll be at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall next Monday night for the national title matchup between Indiana and Miami. I'm going to save the baseball news for when George gets back, but I was going to lead off with the fact that the LA Dodgers have striked again as they landed Kyle Tucker outfielder. Yesterday, he was the big fish in the free agency pool. They signed him to a 4-year, $240 million contract. With the signing, however, it seems that a lockout or a player's strike is inevitable at this point, and that would most likely come in 2027. Going to get George's thoughts on that as well. The Mets, they agreed to a 3-year, $126 million contract extension with, Bo Bichette. So I'm going to get George's thoughts on that as well. And JT Realmuto re-signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. I was on the phone with George earlier today. We were talking about the Langston Patterson case, the Vanderbilt linebacker. And if you're unfamiliar with that, basically there are 5 players in the FBS level of college football that are seeking a 5th year. And their preliminary injunction was denied yesterday. And by the way, this should be noted that the same lawyer that represents Langston Patterson is the same lawyer who represented Diego Pavia in the case he won against the NCAA last year when he filed for an extra year of eligibility. His case, however, is that he played 2 years of junior college football before transferring to New Mexico State and then on to Vanderbilt. With Langston Patterson, it's a little bit more tricky. I highly doubt that he's going to win this. What it seems like from a 50,000-foot view is Langston Patterson is trying to kind of bounce off of what Diego Pavia did. Basically, Pavia winning the case has inspired a lot of other players to try to seek an extra year of eligibility. The problem with Langston Patterson is he's already played 4 years of college football in a 4-year span without a red shirt. So it's going to be pretty tough for Langston Patterson and the others that are represented in this case to win. But given the NCAA's track record, they're going to try anyway. Sam Darnold, the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, popped up on the injury report yesterday. He was listed as questionable with an oblique injury. According to sources, he'll be ready to go tomorrow night versus San Francisco. It's a big game in particular for him, given his track record, I guess, the last year or so. You know, with the Vikings, they lost that Sunday night football game the last week of the regular season to the Detroit Lions. Sam Darnold did not look very good. And then they made the playoffs as the 5 seed, had a matchup with the LA Rams. They lost. Sam Darnold did not look good in that game either. So big for the Seahawks, a big game for Sam Darnold. It is in Seattle against divisional rival, the 49ers. And personally, I believe that Seattle, one of the most difficult places to play in the NFL, going to be a tough challenge for San Francisco given the injury history that they've had, and they will be without George Kittle, their tight end. Nico Collins has been ruled out with a concussion. He was carted off on Monday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers with the head injury, so he's been ruled out versus the New England Patriots on Sunday. John Mateer, quarterback at Oklahoma, is returning to the Sooners in 2026, foregoing the NFL draft. So now we've seen Dante Moore, the quarterback at Oregon, forego the NFL draft, come back to Eugene for an extra year of development. That situation is very interesting because Dylan Raiola, the former quarterback at Nebraska, entered the transfer portal, committed to the Ducks before Dante Moore announced that he would be coming back to school. But I say this because Dylan Raiola had to have known that nobody knew what Dante Moore was going to do. So there was a real possibility that Dante Moore was going to be returning back to school. Therefore, Dylan Raiola had to have known that when he committed to Oregon. So he'll serve as the backup in 26, and he will take over as starter in 2027. John Mateer coming back to school for another year, which I perceive to be the plan. Marcus Freeman, it was announced today that he would be the guest analyst for the national championship game for College Game Day on Monday night. The Predators, they have another game on the road. They will be taking on the Colorado Avalanche tonight for an 8 p.m. puck drop. They're coming off a big back-to-back in which I believe they beat the Oilers at home, and then they beat the Washington Capitals. So now they have 2 games on the road. If you can come out with at least 1 point, I'd say that's solid. If you can come out with 2, even better. Because now I believe they're 3 points out of that final wild card spot in the Western Conference. So really you need points. So if you're a Preds fan rooting for 2 points this weekend, that is probably going to be the goal. And then obviously we have the national championship coming up on Monday night. Miami and Indiana will be at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall for that. Indiana, an 8.5-point favorite versus Miami. George has put on the headset and rejoins us. George, I wanted to save this. I actually was going to lead off the update with this, but I wanted to get your opinion.
Okay.
The LA Dodgers getting
Yes.
Kyle Tucker last night. 4-year, $240 million deal.
Look, first of all, Kyle Tucker is a very nice player. And that's as far as I'm going to go with it. I mean, do I think of Kyle Tucker as a superstar? Not quite. When he got hurt a year ago, he really didn't help the Cubs a lot. So, okay, it's kind of a landmark deal, a little bit like Ohtani's. What I think this signing has done is guarantee that baseball is going to have some level of work stoppage. I just don't think this sport can continue to function where the Dodgers spend now a payroll of close to $500 million, and you've got teams in Major League Baseball that don't have a $100 million payroll. So, this is one area that Danny Evans, who I have incredible respect for, he and I don't see eye to eye on this. He thinks the Dodgers are pure. They do a lot of things really well. They have a beautiful stadium. They have an incredible fan base. But they are doing the game no service whatsoever with the amount of reckless spending that they're doing. And you've got the right to say, okay, George, if it were the Braves, would you be applauding it? And I guess on the surface, maybe, but there's a part of me that cares about the game. And the game cannot continue to function with one team having 5 times as big a payroll as the other.
So this strike, if it were, which it's going to happen, would it happen in 2027, correct?
Yeah.
And how long do you think it would last?
I think it could be fairly substantial. First of all, shame on the 2 groups because they're really not doing anything right now. To me, they need to be sitting down right now and trying to tackle the really hard problems that they've got. Now, we know it's going to be ugly. When Bryce Harper told the commissioner to get the F out of our clubhouse, I'm not a Rob Manfred fan, but I'm glad he told Harper, screw you. I'm the commissioner. I have a right to be in here.
And the New York Mets, after they whiffed on Kyle Tucker, they signed Bo Bichette, 3-year, $126 million deal.
Yeah, and to me, this is a panic move. The Mets have missed out not only on Kyle Tucker, they let Pete Alonso go, which I'll never understand. The Mets' value of Pete Alonso and what I think of him, boy, are 2 totally different things. They've not had a very good offseason. Edwin Diaz left for the Dodgers. Imagine that. And I think it didn't matter who was left. Once they didn't get Kyle Tucker, they were signing anybody that had a pulse that looks like at all a star. Bo Bichette has really good offensive skills. I don't know about the other side, the defense. Anyway, we're headed toward a work stoppage at the end of 2026. My fear is that this one is going to get nasty, ugly, lengthy, any of the above, all of the above. Both sides dug in, and who knows where it's going.
Which is going to suck for the fans if they have to go 2 years without baseball.
Well, it would probably be a couple, 3 months of 2027.
Really? Okay. Because I saw somebody say this could be a lengthy, and I was thinking,
it could be.
You know, and then JT Real Muto agreed to a 3-year, $45 million deal to return to the Phillies.
Yeah, when they didn't get Bo Bichette, they immediately turned back to Real Muto, who's a heck of a player. I was hoping to get him out of the division. All of this said, baseball's got issues that have got to get fixed. I would assume that if we have a walkout, a lockout, whatever you want to call it, this may delay the whole expansion thing a year, which might not be a bad thing for Nashville, which clearly at this point doesn't have its stuff together.
Yeah,
doesn't have an owner, doesn't have a stadium, doesn't have a site. A lot of talk, a lot of pretty emails and stuff like that, but nothing that you can sink your teeth into.
Yep, and that is it for the update.
Okay, when we come back, our buddy and former University of Tennessee standout Mark Griffin will join us. Boy, the SEC slate tomorrow has some great games and some rivalries between schools that just downright hate each other. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. 615-292-3400.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
Oh, yeah. Sanford Townsend Band, Smoke from a Distant Fire. Have you ever heard that?
No, this is
Hold
my
on.
first time hearing the song.
Let it go a little longer. Turn it up.
on your way to
Paradise.
And this is the song that you got caught singing in the
Well,
car.
at the very end, it's really good.
from under
Hey,
my
let's put him up, though. Enough of Sanford Townsend.
I know where you go to. I knew when you came home last night.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Eyes had a mist from the smoke.
Smoke of a distant fire. Okay,
I wonder if Mark Griffin knows this
I'll
song.
guarantee you he knows it. Let's bring him up there. Mark, don't you dare say you've never heard this song.
I couldn't do that, George. I am familiar, but not as much as you. I'll give you the credit. You're a music guy, especially in the 70s, man.
70s and 80s. Willie told me one time on the air that there appeared to be a gap with me that got a little deep around the start of 90. I don't think that's true, but anyway. Okay, let's get
Were you into
right
disco?
to it.
I got to ask this. I'm thinking of music. Were you a disco guy, George?
Not really.
So you would have been at Comiskey Park. What was that, 79, when they burned all the albums? Do you remember that? It's very famous.
When I think of disco, John Travolta,
Oh,
is that fair?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Parker, put the list of games up there in the SEC tomorrow, and then we'll get this going. Okay, the first one, clearly two teams that hate each other. Tennessee, Kentucky, and Knoxville. Florida, Vandy will be a head knocker. Who knows? Might be the two best teams in the league. Still a little too early to tell. And then look down at the bottom. A&M goes to Texas. They hate each other. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, they despise each other. And so it's a pretty interesting slate. If you will, give me a little more ears back there if you get beautiful. So, Mark, let's start with this before we get to all the SEC stuff. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I was completely convinced that Michigan was at a level by themselves better than everybody. Today, it's hard to think that way. What's going on up there?
Man, George, I think it's just in today's world in basketball, it's just tough to go through a season back like when UCLA did it back in the day in your disco time. I just think with the competition, it's hard to stay up every night. One guy has a big game, one player, a key player for Michigan or two, lays an egg. It has nothing to do with preparation. It's just great competition. And I think it's going to be a battle like that the rest of the season. And, Michigan's got a great team. I'm a little concerned, though, with their overall guard play. Their front line is unbelievable. I mean, they got 7'5" kid, Mara, that's going to be a draft pick. The transfer from UAB is going to be an NBA draft pick. Morez Johnson, transfer from Illinois, going to be an NBA draft pick. I mean, your front line are all going to go to the NBA, but who's going to bring the ball down the court?
Good question. So let me start with Vandy for a minute. I'm going to ask you the exact same thing that I asked Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler yesterday. So they get beat, and in the process, they get beat pretty good. And I kind of thought the weight of a perfect record seemed to kind of start weighing on them a little bit in that game. Coaches who are watching, Florida's sitting there with the film of that game. Do you think it exposed anything in general about Vandy that teams from here on in will start to try to take advantage of?
Yes. What you didn't see versus a Texas team, which team shows up? I mean, the one in Knoxville, the one at Alabama, which they had a great victory, or at home against Vanderbilt, great victory for Texas. Got great guard play. The concern with Vanderbilt, George, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think Texas out-rebounded them by like 16 or 14 or so.
Right.
And even though Vanderbilt has some formidable players on the inside, that's where it's going to be suspect in the future is how are they going to rebound? Offensive rebound, defensive rebound, inside presence as far as depth is just not there. Texas with Vocalitis, I hope I probably butcher his name, 7-foot kid.
Well done.
Way better than I would.
The V-man.
The transfer from FAU, you know, he has a very strong presence. He gets to the line, I think at least 9 times a game. What really concerns me about this Florida game is Florida's the number 1 rebounding team in the country. So if we're concerned about what happened down in Austin, and I know you got Memorial Magic, but it really concerns me as far as how they're going to rebound against Florida. They don't have to out-rebound Florida, but they need to be within 8, and they need to get some really key, they being Vanderbilt, key offensive rebounds if it's McLaughlin and or if you can get one of their 4 bigs in foul trouble, 3 of them especially, that really helps. But it's going to be that's going to be a tough matchup. I can't wait for that game. And I'm, obviously I'm really excited about Kentucky, Tennessee, but the big game of the weekend is Florida, Vanderbilt, because if Florida wins that game, I think they win the SEC. I really do. And it is early, but I'm big on Florida right now, especially if Boogie Flan plays decent at all.
So isn't part of this whole equation, and in truth, they dealt with this a lot a year ago. Byington seemed to be a master of juggling between big guys that had 3 and 4 fouls. It kind of feels like that's about to start happening again.
Yeah, and then you've got Washington, the transfer from UNC, and then you dip into help me guys, Levitt, freshman.
It's the first time I had seen him.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him. So it's like, okay.
Got 6 minutes.
When I saw him, he fouled a guy, and it was a 3-point shot. So I know nothing about this young man, which concerns me when you look at Vanderbilt, how they're going to defend on the inside. And I think that's the key when teams are going to scout against Vanderbilt. It's going to be, let's control our turnovers, because we know how great Vanderbilt is with steals, 1 and 2 as far as Miles and Tanner in the conference. But if you can take care of the ball, work the clock, and get it inside, you've got a big competitive advantage against Vanderbilt. And to beat them in Memorial, they're going to have to. I really do think that Florida's going to have to slow the tempo and just really work the ball inside, which goes against what Coach Golden likes to do outside of Boogie Flan. But I think that's going to be something they're going to lock in. And if Vanderbilt can step up their defensive presence, I think you may have a very competitive game. But right now, and I think Vanderbilt's favored by 3.5. I'd be leaning more towards Florida, George, and I hate that because I'm really pulling for Vanderbilt, what Byington's doing, and not having the best dressed man over there, Stackhouse. I'm just really pleased with what's going on in Nashville. It's just going to be a great game.
Oh, it is going to be that. It'll be a great atmosphere. Let me just get maybe 60 seconds from you on Texas, because I've seen a Texas a couple of times where I was like, eh. And then I saw a Texas a couple of nights ago. Number 1, good enough to go win at Alabama, enough said there. And a team that's got a big man that's as good as anybody in the league. And the kid Mark just went off.
Yeah, and they got, Jordan Pope has played really well in the last couple of games. Dalen Swain's the best athlete on their team. He had 34 in a loss to Mississippi State and fouled out. Great athlete. You mentioned Mark, the transfer from Arkansas a couple of years ago. Just shooting wild shots, but looks like he's having the most fun he's had in his career. He's smiling. It just seems like they're really playing loose, George, which I'm a little surprised because I was at that Texas game in Knoxville, and it's like a 180. But I think that's how this is going to trend this way throughout the season. Every week that I'm on your show on Friday, we're going to be having these conversations like, ooh, I didn't expect that to happen, or I didn't expect this to happen, because we just don't know. It's so competitive in the SEC. We try to pick a leader early, and it's really impossible, even though I just said Florida. We just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know anything about injuries, how guys are going to play on the road, how they're going to take care of the ball, shoot free throws. I looked at the net ranking earlier today, and one thing that really popped out, people are saying the SEC's down. Well, Lenardi's got 10 teams going to the tournament. Maybe it's 8 to 10. But what was impressive about the net ranking, which is NCAA evaluation tool, which you look at the teams you're playing against, and you're measured how you fare against quality 1 versus quality 4 teams. The worst rated team was South Carolina at 100. Last year, you had like 3 teams in 150 or above. So you've had dramatic improvement overall on the bottom area. And you've got several teams that are ranked in the top 25. You've got like 5 SEC teams that are ranked in the top 25 in the net. And here, as you see, is the Lenardi rankings, which I think there was 10 teams, and then LSU makes 11, which I'm not big on LSU. I wasn't big on LSU. I think they played, like I mentioned before, what Vitale would always say, cupcake schedule, and I just don't think they're ready for big time. And we saw that unfortunately against Kentucky the other night. So,
which now leads us to a game you've participated in both as a coach and a player when Kentucky clearly had the upper hand. Now Tennessee has the upper hand, but Kentucky threw this wild card out of nowhere, this miracle comeback. So what do you think they bring to the table tomorrow?
Well, they're going to really have to bring effort. One of my favorite players, and I want everybody to look out for this guy when he plays within his game, is I want to say it's Otega Owe.
Owe, yeah.
I'll butcher that too. This is why I don't do this full time.
It is Owe.
But Owe is a transfer from Oklahoma 2 seasons ago. George, the best driver in the SEC, and what I mean by that is he drives to the basket better than any player in the SEC. It's obvious, and that's even over Darius Acuff at Arkansas. This guy is an animal. The problem, he looked at going to the NBA this past season. NBA guys came out and said, well, you need to work on your three-point shooting. So what does he do? He's starting to take more three-pointers than he probably should in that offense, which
sitting on that line
hurt the team. And what you've seen with Kentucky is 5 guys, 5 agendas. But they did come together against LSU. Now, a game like that can really bring a team together when you've had all the issues that they've been facing. And obviously, Coach Pope's trying to not allow them to let the noise get to them as much as one can. That can really be a turnaround, especially on the road, and the way they won with the little Christian Lettner type shot at the end with Marino, who is a freshman. So what they're going to have to do is they're just going to have to play hard and take Tennessee fans out of the game. And it starts with Owe. I really do think it starts with Owe. I'm just hopeful that Tennessee can get him in foul trouble. Their big guys don't shoot well at the free throw line. It's very similar to how UT is at the free throw line. So it could be like a Shaq day with Tennessee's depth to make them go to the line if you can. And, they had a guard, what was his name? Jalan, I hope I pronounced this right. Jalan Lowe, point guard, went out with an injury, so they have one guard or one point guard, the kid that I featured with the most impactful transfer, Aberdeen. And I mean, he's going to have to really step it up, but he has played well. He's just going to have to play more minutes. He's only been averaging around 20 minutes a game. I think that's going to step up tremendously. He won a championship last year as a 6-man at Florida. So he has that winning pedigree. He'll bring that leadership to this team, and I'm sure he's going to try to make it his own team. And if he plays well, and I mean, he gets to the free throw line, as you see here, over 82%, could really be a difference. And I hate to see injuries, but I think sometimes teams really come together when you have injuries. And with the guard that went down, it tells you next man up. And I'm concerned with Aberdeen when he plays against Tennessee.
Mark, speaking of Tennessee, and I don't know if this is fair or not, when I see them, they're good. They're not good like they've been the last couple of years. And I sit there and I say, well, okay, that's Zakai Ziegler, who was just an incredible start of the engine at Tennessee. Number one, is that what you see? And if it is there a way to get them back to more like 2-3 seed kind of stuff? Or is this truly what they are?
I think this is what they are. I'm hopeful they can get to a 4 seed. I don't think this Tennessee team will be higher than a 4 seed because I think the wins on the road are going to be really hard to find. What concerns me, and you made a great point about Ziegler, sometimes during the game, Ziegler would bring the team together and you'd have the cameras in the huddle, which I hate, by the way. And they would show Ziegler talking to his team, even drawing up a play. So you had a coach on the floor, and more importantly, you had a vocal coach on the floor. I don't see that with this team. I've been observing and waiting on Gillespie to be that vocal leader. Now, you can be a leader by being the point guard running the plays, but if you're not a vocal leader, you got to have that. And Amit, that's not his style, or he hasn't demonstrated that. And I don't think you can just turn it on halfway through the season to say, I'm going to be the vocal leader. I think it either starts in October or it doesn't. It's not talked about a lot, but you got to have that guy that says, bring it in. Bring the 5 in at the free throw line. You coach them through. They're looking at Barnes already, but it's much more satisfying or gratifying to be able to go to a teammate and hear them kind of pep you up right there next to you, or tell you, hey, 30 seconds to the TV timeout. Let's go. Stop your man. Good job here. And we don't see that. And I'm going to be looking at that more than anything tomorrow, is like, who rallies the troops? We don't see that.
By the way, the return game at Rupp Arena, it's already etched in stone, Saturday night in prime time, the night before the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you right now, we're going to do a little kind of a watch party around that Tennessee-Kentucky game at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. What a great 2 games to start it. Tennessee, Kentucky from Thompson Bowling, 11 in the morning. Vandy, Florida, Memorial Gym at 1 o'clock. Mark, it doesn't get any better.
Will you be there, George?
Yes.
I figured. With your popcorn.
Yeah. Maybe. Could be. You're giving away a little trade secret there, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I'm with you holding popcorn and a Coke, you can't shake everybody's hands that comes up to you. So I'm wondering, which one would you give up, the Coke or the popcorn?
Well, no, hold on.
Well known there.
Mark, look at this.
There you go.
I haven't had a Coke in 12 years. You know why?
I know.
Because they discovered that's what was giving me kidney stones.
Oh, that's nice to know.
Anybody that's ever had kidney stones, you don't ever want to have them again.
No,
so
it's kind of painful.
Yeah. Okay. After the break, Parker will take over. Who knows where that's going? I'm sure he's got some little tricks of the trade that you may have sent him earlier in the day. So I look forward to hearing where you guys are going with it on the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Smashville hockey. Around here, it can sound like a language of its own. But hey, if you can pronounce Demumbrian, then names like Yossi, Shea, Marchessault will roll right off the tongue. Nashville Predators, only in Smashville.
Sports and Social at Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a racing sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. Here's Officer Darren Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you. Course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Real quickly, before I turn this over to Parker Kelly with Mark Griffin, former University of Tennessee standout, put the graphic back up there on the SEC tomorrow, because I missed one game that might be worth watching. Arkansas at Georgia. Mark, we're going to find out tomorrow, I think, okay, what level of good is Georgia?
That's a great point, George. And I'm going to predict Arkansas to win that game. Now, Arkansas laid an egg at Auburn on the road, which I was shocked, and it was by 20 plus. Big game I think it's a bigger game for Arkansas, actually, because if they're going to contend in the SEC, you've got to win games like this at Georgia. I mean, Mike White's done a great job with this Georgia team this season, putting together the guys that are on the court. But, you're right. Once again, another top matchup. Georgia really needs this game for the momentum of being talked about and, being, considered to go the post-tournament. So it's just going to be a huge game for both teams. Okay,
Parker.
Okay, I wanted to go back to Vanderbilt and ask about them because I've watched them play. I went to the Alabama game, and obviously they're very good. They're still the number one team in the SEC. But I wonder about when they truly get tested on the road And when the other team they're playing has a deep front court like Florida has, and they have athletic wings that can give them trouble, this may be a stupid question, but how good really is Vandy?
Well, when you look at statistically in the SEC, different categories, they're at the top. Now, you have to take in consideration who they played throughout the pre-SEC season. But when you've got Miles and Tanner 1 and 2 in the conference in steals, that tells you it's a very aggressive team. As far as assist to turnover ratio, very high for both of those guys. They're taking care of the ball. When you look at, and I'm still picking on Miles and Tanner. When you've got guards that can shoot free throws and take care of the ball, you got 2 of them, you've got a double chance to fare well. And of course, you could look at an Alabama team and say, well, what about their 2 guys? They've got 2 top players too. But you'd ask about Vanderbilt, and I just really feel that you have to have those perimeter guys that are consistent. How good they are is, for me, my biggest concern is depth inside. And tomorrow is going to be their biggest challenge. You think Texas was a challenge rebounding? When you've got the number 1 team in the country in rebounding coming in, and they line up 6'10", 6'11", 6'11", they bring in a 6'11" guy. I mean, they're not afraid to play 3 guys that are 6'10", 6'11", 6'11". I mean, that's unheard of. Now, with that said, could that be an advantage for Vanderbilt? If they're able to get these rebounds, they can be off to the races, because the Florida Bigs just can't keep up with the Vanderbilt perimeter players running in the fast break. So that could once again be an advantage. They're just going to have to – Vanderbilt's going to have to make sure that they get the 50-50 balls, and it's just going to be a fight. But how good they are, I think they're one of the best teams in the SEC, if not the country, because where they're ranked right now. But time will play out. But I'm just glad this game for Vanderbilt is at home, and it's just going to be exciting.
So we talked to Nebraska's general manager yesterday, and Luca Virgilio, and he talked about really the job that Fred Hoiberg has done, how they've been able to keep that roster intact to get them to the point that they are now. They haven't won a game in the NCAA tournament in their history, and I know that stat has been thrown around. But with this year's Nebraska team, do you think that they can make a Final Four?
Man, a lot's got to happen to make a Final Four. And could it happen? I mean, with the way they're playing this year, and hey, you can't say – I mean, you got to – with Indiana going to the championship in football, anything can happen. You know, when you're talking Nebraska basketball, Vanderbilt basketball, I hate to say it, but anything could happen. So could they go to the Final Four? I think they could. A lot of the things about the Final Four really goes down to matchups. And I know that sounds like coach speak, and it is, because you just have to see, how do you match up? What are your strengths versus your opponents? You know, do you have a really good competitive advantage on the inside? How do your guys shoot free throws? How they take care of the ball? Do they get up and down the court? How does a favored team play in a slowdown game? There's so much that has to happen. But what's really neat about this Nebraska team, they're putting themselves in the position. Why? Because they're building confidence game after game. Because the more you win and you come together, the more you learn about each other. Now, would it be good to get a loss? I know some people say, well, you know, it's good to get a loss, get that out of the way. I think any game you play, you compete to win. So if you can be undefeated, more power to you. I don't think it's an advantage to have a loss. I just think that you have to have momentum, and a lot of things have to happen well. I'm really pulling for Coach Hoiberg this season, like I have been for Indiana, just because it hasn't happened. I'm kind of an underdog guy, and it's not the SEC, so I'll pull for them. So we'll see.
Parker, on that matchup stuff, Mark knows this because he and I lived it. The NCAA would take somebody excuse me, like a Loyola Marymount when they were scoring 130 a game, and they put them against Temple.
Yeah, that's right.
That was always, think about that, Mark.
Right.
It was always Temple being put against some high wire act.
Yeah.
To see if that team could handle that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking Bo Kimball, Hank Gathers, and others. Paul Westhead, the coach. I mean, Google that, you young guys. It's unbelievable. But they would give up a 2-point shot and then run down the floor and shoot a three. It was the first of the kind to ever do. First team of its kind to ever do that. But you're right. Another thing in matchups too, you'll get like I'm just throwing out two teams: Murray State versus Kentucky. You get these matchups where you're like, oh, Murray State's got a lot to play for. Kentucky, playing Murray. Who's it mean more to? I mean, you never want to overlook an opponent, but when you're the underdog opponent, you're really, really geared up for the game. And a lot of times, and you'll see this, it just happens, and they say, it's a coincidence, but you'll see like St. John's and Rick Pitino against Kentucky. Well, did that just happen? I mean, come on, that's TV. But they'll say, oh, it's just, the committee. We got 13 guys on the committee, and it just fell into place based on seedings. No, that's TV, and TV talks because it's money.
That's CBS asking for it.
Rick Pitino versus Cal last year in the round of 32.
There you go. Does it just happen?
Yeah, but that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Sure it is.
So I wanted to ask about the Big 12 because to me, they're the most impressive conference as a whole I think I've seen this year. I mean, if you're just looking at the top, we go to the AP poll, Arizona at 1, Iowa State at 2, Houston at 7, BYU at 11. So it's a pretty, top to, Texas Tech is in there at 15.
Sure.
Iowa State, they went on the road. They suffered their first loss in the fog at Kansas. Did that teach you anything new about Iowa State that you didn't already know, or was that just kind of one of those, had to lose at some point?
No, Kansas got Peterson back. He's healthier, and Kansas is going to be even better with him playing. He's going to be the number 1 kid drafted this summer. Great team, no depth, but they didn't have to go into the depth. And Iowa State just up against a tough opponent at the time. I'm just shocked how good Iowa State really is. And maybe it's me living in Tennessee. I don't know a lot about Iowa State, George. It's not like I get on and go, man, I can't wait to watch Iowa State tonight. But I'm really impressed with their coach. I've seen them at several tournaments in the summer, and he loves medium T-shirts. He loves sticking out those muscles. Man. But you know what?
Well, what do you got him? Show him off.
Yeah, he loves to show him off. He's a little short guy though, but TJ Otzelberger. How about that for a name? And it's his 5th season at Iowa State. And what people don't realize, Iowa State has gone to the NCAA tournament every season he's been there, and 2 Sweet 16s. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment for a team. When you mention like, hey, who's good in the Big 12? You're like, Iowa State. So they really fared well. And even though, they took on the loss, they're going to be one of those teams that are going to be, highly ranked and they're going to be highly seeded. They're just a very strong basketball team. And they've got one guy named Joshua Jefferson as their transfer from 2 years ago from St. Mary's. He's just killing it. I mean, he's just playing unbelievable. He was an all Big 12 second teamer last year. He's averaging like 18.5 points a game. And then they've got this guy that's a foreign player, Momcilovic, as I think is how you pronounce it. He's the number 1 3-point shooter in the country at 53%. So, I mean, they're really playing well. They're 3rd in the country in 3-point percent. They're 5th in the country point differential. I mean, their games are not even close besides that Kansas loss. So will that motivate them? I mean, we'll see. But I think this is going to be a team we're going to be talking about more postseason-wise, and they're my surprise nothing but net team.
I'm really going to put you on the spot, and I apologize for this. If you had to pick the best team in the Big Ten, Purdue or Michigan, who would it be right now?
Oh God. Well, that's a tough one. I want to say, didn't Iowa State? I think they beat Purdue.
They beat Purdue in Memphis.
Badly.
Yeah,
30-something at Purdue.
Yeah, which never happens.
No, but this is weird. I haven't seen enough games, but what I have seen, and I have seen both several, I like Purdue. I like their point guard. I'm going mainly because of their point guard. And I just think they play really hard. And we'll see how that works in the season. But the point guard, I want to think Hayden Smith, is that right, George?
Braden.
Yeah, Braden Smith, excuse me.
Yeah.
Seasoned player, fighter. I mean, he gives more. He's like Zakai Ziegler on steroids. I mean, he gives you 100% effort every time. He's a leader. He's outspoken. And when you're on that court with him, you just want to excel.
Parker, you got 30 seconds.
Okay, and I guess another team I wanted to talk about is North Carolina. Just some quick thoughts on Caleb Wilson.
Oh, wow. I saw him play travel ball in the summer. Fantastic athlete, great scorer. He's projected as high as number 3 in the draft this upcoming season. Him and the transfer from Arizona, the big kid, the 7-footer. It's like anything, you've really got to watch all these teams several times to get a grasp of what they got, because you have no returning players from the season before. And I can't name any North Carolina players that played last year. It seems like they're all new.
Hey, Mark, I got to stop you there. We're done.
Oh, okay.
Got to hit the hard.
Sorry. See you next week.
No problem.
Watson Brown's in the on deck circle. Get ready.
See you guys.
Welcome to Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, where every dish tells the story of Southern tradition and culinary excellence. Dive into our enhanced menu featuring
Don't put off that service or that upgrade. Take control of your schedule and your vehicle needs today. Schedule your service appointment today at NewtonNissanSouth.com. For the love of the climb, for the love of the fall, for the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is. For the love of Tennessee, travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
When pro football's biggest game kicks off, Kentucky's biggest watch party is on. The Big Game Bash at Circa Sports, the largest sports book in Kentucky. Experience a 2-story sports betting and viewing experience with stadium-style seating, massive screens, great eats and drinks, and live game sound that puts you right in the action. The Big Game Bash at Circa Sports, located inside the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs. Book your seat today at circasports.com. Nashville's best deals is bringing the flavor from 51 North Tap Room, locally owned with scratch-made eats, 30 beers on draft, plus craft cocktails and mocktails. At 51 North, score $7 smash burgers all day and happy hour from 3 to 6 p.m. Plus all day Saturday and Sunday. Catch every big game at 51 North. Play darts or shuffleboard and bring the whole crew. Get 50% off a $25 gift card for 51 North now at 949thefan.com/deals. 51 North Tap Room, craft beers, house burgers, local vibes.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org.
Here's to a big 2026 from everyone at IBEW. It's gonna be a great year.
Busy Bee, yeah, Busy Bee.
Hey guys, Big Joe here from my friends over at Busy Bee. Listen, new year, new friends. Buy one Beehive membership and give one Beehive membership for free to a friend in Middle Tennessee. Look, I am a Beehive member and I would love for you to be one too. Yeah, Beehive membership only from my friends at Busy Bee.
Call 775-7833.
Kevin, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Maybe he gets this big opportunity, whatever broadcast medium. He will live in Florida or work in California or whatever he's doing, and he will never be cold. The healthiest he's ever been in his life. He'll flirt with other teams across the way. He'll talk to an owner of a team here and there. And then what's going to realize is like, do I want to work for this organization? I'm a Steeler.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Time for our stat of the day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. For a while, it looked like Florida might be at risk of missing the tournament. Who was the last reigning national champion to miss the tournament the following year?
Oh, wow.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I don't doubt that it is. I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Oh, my gosh. 2012, 2013, Kentucky.
So, wow. That's called pulling one out of your rear end. That's what that is.
It's happened quite a few times this week with Kelly, too.
Anyway, we welcome all of you into the 4 o'clock hour officially. From our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, Coach Watson Brown is going to join us to get into the national title game Monday night and a few other things. Watson, I got a funny one for you to start. You ready?
Go for it, buddy.
So Parker was interviewing Mark Griffin a few minutes ago, and he brings up Iowa State. How good's Iowa State? And they're pretty darn good. Well, the first thing that crossed my mind was that I've been to Iowa State, did a basketball game there. I want to say it would have been late in 1983 at that beautiful Hilton Center, one of the really underrated, nice arenas in the country. But, Watson, we land in Ames, Iowa. It's about 7 above. It's just cold as all get out. Iowa State is coached by the legendary Johnny Orr, who had left Michigan to go to Iowa State. And it was clear that he and Coach Newton had a pretty good relationship. And at the end of the game that Iowa State won, they're about to shake hands. And I can hear, because I'm right at courtside, I hear Johnny Orr say to Coach Newton, I'd like to continue the series. And Coach Newton says to him, Johnny, the only way we're continuing this series is if you come south. Does that not sound like him?
That's him to a T. And I've been to Ames many times, going from Oklahoma and the other schools where we've played them. And my brother coached there in his early years and went to visit him once. Cold weather and cornfields. That's what you see pretty much across the board.
Not an easy place to play.
Not an easy place to play anything. It's sure not an easy place to play football. We always fought to beat them at Oklahoma when we played them then.
Yep. So, Watson, if I were to say the only thing that is going to make this national title game remotely interesting is the fact that it's a Miami home game, is that true or false?
I think it's false because I think Miami's going to play with them. Don't know why, because they shouldn't. Nobody else has. But Miami's a good football team, and they've had a tough road to prove they're a good football team. I mean, you go into College Station and win, you're a good team. I think Texas A&M was a little overrated, but at the same time, I've been there so many times, and I'm telling you, it's the toughest place in the country to play. And that was an awful day. Winds blowing about 30 miles an hour. Texas winds blowing like that. You think you're in a tornado. I'm telling you, it blows out there. And then just the rest of the way, the rest of the games they had to play. I think the two best teams are playing each other for the first time maybe in a while. Two best teams in the country at the end of the year are playing each other. And I'm anxious to see Indiana. They got banged up pretty good in that game. More than people know. I saw 4 or 5 kids leave the game last week, and Cignetti in his interview after the game said, "We're pretty dadgum thin for the first time all year long." So I think it's going to be a good game. I'm not going against Indiana, but I think it's going to be a good game, and I do think, George, the being at home, there will be. When Miami wants to show, when Miami shows through all the years, you're playing somebody not very good, they don't show. But when they're playing somebody good, they show. So there'll be a bunch of fans getting that game one way or the other.
Watson, in the old days, before Parker was even born, Miami won, I think, 3 different national titles where they would win in the Orange Bowl against an Oklahoma or a Nebraska, and the Orange Bowl was just Looney Tunes. I don't get the feeling in the new place that it's quite as rowdy.
No, I've not played in the new place or coached. I have coached quite a few times in the old place, and it was wonderful. It reminded me so much of Legion Field. I can't tell you. And it's very, very loud. That old stadium would just ring. So I don't think it's the same anymore. I don't think it's even as big, to tell you the truth. I think it's less people than the Orange Bowl used to hold. But they'll be loud, and they'll match the Indiana crowd. I mean, once I saw what was there for Oregon last week and what was in there for Indiana, I said, game over.
Oh, it was a jailbreak.
That was a home field advantage big time now. So Indiana's going to travel, and they're going to have at best, it won't be any worse than 50-50. It won't be worse than 50-50. Those Indiana people are going to figure out how to get in that game.
Watson, they've had a year where really, other than Penn State, they haven't had to play it all from behind. If Miami jumped on them, let's say 10-0, how does Indiana respond to that?
Well, the way they respond against Penn State, not many can do that. I mean, they're beat. They're on their own 7-yard line and don't have a timeout, best I can remember. And the plays that the quarterback and receivers made at the end of that game were phenomenal. And undefeated, it all goes south if they lose this game because nobody's believed in them for 2 years. And nobody believed in them last year, and they proved they were right because they went to Notre Dame and got beat good. but this year that hadn't been the case. I don't think this team will choke. They might not make the play to win the game, but I don't think it's because they choked. I think this team is unbelievably mentally tough. I looked it up, George. They're a very old team. There's a lot of maturity on that football team. When they went to the transfer portal, they went old guys, and so it's an older football team, and just the confidence I think they got from winning the Penn State game. I think they left Oregon saying, we were lucky. We got out of here, we're lucky, but we won. I think they left the Penn State game, we're pretty daggum good. We can come back from this in this place, and Penn State is another really, really, really tough place to play. And so I think that's the game that shot them up personally. And then they kind of just took over in the championship game of the Big Ten, and then they've just been unbelievable in the playoffs. And I think Penn State game is the game that shot them up another notch, George.
Yeah, because that was impressive. Because Penn State was ready and raring to go.
Well, and the plays that were made, the pass patterns. I mean, the passes thrown and the balls being caught, both a great pass and a great catch. That tells you how short those windows were. Those passes were in that last drive. I don't think there was anything all year long I saw as impressive as that last drive of the game.
Watson, has Fernando Mendoza done enough in your mind that it's an absolute codlock cinch he's number one in the draft?
Well, it's the Raiders.
That's a good answer.
That's all I'm saying. It's the Raiders, so I don't know. I really don't know what they'll do. It is, to me, he's absolutely going away. I don't think this is a great quarterback here. There's not a bunch of them to take that are really just you're saying he can go in and be a franchise for somebody. I just don't see it. And so, yeah, I think he's the first quarterback taken. I do think the Raiders will take him unless there's a free agent out there that they would think might be better and then bring in a bona fide, the best player in the country that isn't the quarterback. That'd be the only reason they would not take him, is if there's going to be a free agent. I haven't looked hard at that. I don't know who's coming out, but that would be the only thing. And I promise you, Brady's involved in this, and I would think he would think this kid, because he looks a lot like Tom. I mean, he's built a lot like him with better feet, and has proven to me that he is a very poised, mentally tough young man. Nothing seems to faze him. I mean, that shot he took in the Ohio State game, George, first play of the game, best I remember.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten championship, that was a shot. Where do they hurt the worst unless you get knocked out? Where does it hurt the worst? It hurts the worst right in that rib area, man.
Yeah.
Those hurt big time. And he was back in 2 plays later. I mean, I think he is mentally and physically tough as he can be. I think he is the first pick in the draft. I think he's good enough to be the first pick in the draft. And I think he'll be unbelievably in a locker room for somebody.
Watson, a week from now, right about now, in fact, the 23rd, somebody's got to give the networks an answer on what kind of playoff we're going to do a year from now. And I hear the Big Ten pushing this 24-team thing, which I think is Looney Tunes, but you've dealt with some of these kind of playoffs before.
Yeah.
Is there a way to make 24 work?
Not and be pretty. The first round of the FCS games are not pretty. They're just not. Everybody just beats the other one pretty good. I think 16 personally is perfect.
Yeah.
This 1-7, and the teams that had a bye is legit. And the only one that's won was Indiana, who was just so much better than Alabama. It wasn't even close. I mean, the line of scrimmage dominance in that game was unbelievable. And I've never seen Alabama team dominated like that since Southern Cal did it, and Coach Bryant changed his whole attitude about things after he played those guys. You remember the game, Parker?
Oh, I sure do.
But
it was on a Friday night at Legion Field.
Yes, right there in Legion Field, and I mean, they beat the fool out of them, and it was physical. Wasn't anything pretty. Wasn't any great plays. They just knocked them down all night long. And Coach Bryant went back and said, "We're changing our recruiting ways and we're changing our offense." And that's when the next year they went out to Los Angeles, Georgia, and beat them in the wishbone, which they hid from Southern Cal, and they didn't know they went to it. He went to Carroll Royal in Texas and spent a week. Coach Bryant himself did, and came back and they put the wishbone in, and Lord, what happened after that? It's history. So I think 16 is perfect and everybody can play. No, there is no bye. That's why I like it. One would play 16 and two would play 15 and go on, and now you play. And I think that's perfect because I think there were 16 teams last year that would have made good games. That the 16th team, the 16th seed would not look like a 16th seed in the NC2A basketball tournament. The legit top 16 team playing the top team in the country in game one, and I think we would all love it. I think it's perfect to go to 16 myself. That's what I hope they do.
Watson, I got two things for you, and I just want to let you know I agree with a lot that you say. I'm going to respectfully push back on the 16, and here's why. So my college football worldview has always been centered around the regular season because the regular season is the most important aspect of college football to me, and this playoff is kind of like the cherry on top, the fact that we get to crown a national champion. I'm worried that if we go to 16, teams are going to start losing that sense of urgency where they may afford to drop a game or two or three or rest starters in meaningful games in November. And we could have seen Oregon rest their starters versus James Madison. We could have seen Ole Miss rest their starters versus Tulane, and that's in the playoff. So I'm worried the urgency aspect of it will be gone if we go to 16.
Well, I'll take that on in two ways. Oregon and James Madison took starters out at the half this year. They did in the second half. They didn't rest them for the game, but they rested them in second halves of both of those games. And so I think that's going to happen when you can. But I think there's 16 teams good enough, and I don't think they would do that, Parker, because of seeding. You still want to be seated as high as you can possibly be to get a home game, to be playing a 116-8 or a 9 instead of in that middle of that pack around that 7-10. Look at the NC2As, George, through the years. Where are the upsets? They're always right in around that 7-10-ish, right in through there. And so I don't think you want to be seated in there. So I don't think personally that would happen. The other thing, Parker, to me, the playoffs have become the thing. It has killed the bowls. If you don't get the playoffs, then it's not a successful season. So I just think everybody'd be working to get there and want to win it. It's become like the NC2A tournament. Yeah, the season's the season. We want to do this. We want to do that. But really what we're playing for is to get in that tournament and go as deep as we can go and win a national championship. So I don't think putting 4 more in would water it down, or people would look at it that way, because I saw teams. Notre Dame is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. They didn't get in. Miami got in instead of them, and here they are playing for the national championship. And the season was over. They felt defeated. They didn't even want to play in any bowl game. Didn't matter which one it was or what it was. That's what I think's fixing to happen to this thing. If you don't get in that, it hadn't been a successful season, unless you're bottom teams that are not going to get there. But if you're up there in your upper division of your conference and you don't get in, I think they're going to look at it, and your fans are going to look at it as a not successful season.
I've been fascinated by Curt Cignetti's process because I've been listening to him talk about it, and this run that Indiana's made, the question has been thrown around, well, what's the secret sauce? How in the world is he doing this? And I've listened to him talk about it, and really it's very simple. They have about an hour, 45-minute window for practice, and they, practice Monday through, or it might be Tuesday through Thursday. They have short walkthroughs on Monday and Friday. But when they're in the building, they are completely dialed in. There's no goofing around. They are focused on every detail of game preparation. And Kurt Signetti said that if the assistants decide to go home after practice, that's not a big deal because they've got everything in during that practice window. And I'm just fascinated by it.
Parker, it's amazing to me, and because the things he does is what I did through my career as a head coach. My coaches were not in that building after 7 o'clock at night. I wanted them home with their family unless they needed to be there. That was their decision, and we never practiced up to 2 hours during the season. I always said that I want my kids to know what to do and to be fresh and ready to go. And so I thought it helped practice, and I thought we had a better mindset because the kids knew everything out there. Now, I went fast a lot in a lot of my years, so we were a fast offense. So we still got a lot of plays running practice, but nobody walked to a drill. Everything was crisp and full speed. I lost a lot of football games and won my share too, but I lost a lot of football games, and not very many people did it that way. Not very many at all. Most of the guys I worked for, I'd be in that building at 10 o'clock at night, sometimes with my feet propped up on my desk because I didn't know what else to do. But we were expected to stay that long, and I just did it a different way. And not a lot of people jumped on it because we weren't overly successful to where we're up there winning conference championships or whatever. But it's been neat to me to see him say these things, and I said, that's amazing, because that's exactly the way that I would treat my staff and our teams.
And I guess, one more thing kind of going off of that, the transfer portal, it's just madness right now with the quarterbacks. I just got an update from Pete Thamel that Malachi Nelson, who was a former number 1 overall recruit in the class of 23, is now on his 4th school in 4 years. How is this sustainable?
It's, in my opinion, and it's only one opinion. In my opinion, it's not sustainable. Sooner or later, it's going to hit everybody right between the eyes. Everybody wants to talk about the money, and I agree with the money too. They got to find a way to cap it, control it. You can't spend over this amount within your team. However you want to do it. But the big one is the transfer portal. They've got to do something with that. You can't let kids transfer every year. If that was the way to go, Parker, the NFL would have done this many years ago. Just opened it up as you've got 1 year, you got one contract year with this team, you can do whatever you want. You can stay, they can re-sign you, they don't have to. That's the reason it's not that way in the NFL. And the way these kids are getting paid, I think it should be treated like the NFL. And if you sign a contract, you shouldn't be able to leave. You have to stay through your contract. If you want to sign a 1-year contract, sign it. If you want to sign a 2-year contract, whatever. But whatever that contract says, you cannot leave till that contract is up. Now, if I'm a player and I'm a sophomore that's a really outstanding football player, and I'm a left tackle, and I know how good I am and how good I played already, and I go want to sign a 3-year contract, then I don't care if I get hurt or whatever, they owe me that money. But I can't leave if I sign a 3-year contract. The other thing I think, Parker, these coaches ought to be under the same deal. The NFL coach cannot leave till his contract is up. I left 6 times with many years left on a contract. And 5 of those, because I wanted to, 1 of them I got fired. But 5 of those, I wanted to go and left. And I don't think you should be able to. They have at least made them now. Sometimes there's compensation involved. But I think that there ought to be a way through the NC2A that the coach signs a 5-year contract. He's not released till those 5 years unless that school wants to release him, and then they pay him what they owe him, period. Don't play around with the pay. What's on those numbers in that contract, pay them. That's what the NFL does. College football don't do that. Coaches jump everywhere, and I was one of them. Did it 5 times, as I said. but they've got to find a way to get this transfer portal under control. One way without saying you can't transfer is your contract. If you want to transfer every year, sign a 1-year contract.
So, Watson, let's end it this way. We had Tony Basilio on Tuesday, as is the case all year long, and I said it felt like that they're playing this game of musical chairs about quarterbacks. And when the music stopped, Tennessee was the one team that didn't have a chair to sit in.
It's a great illustration.
What do you make of their quarterback issues, given that their head coach has been known as a, kind of a quarterback whisperer?
Yeah, it was interesting, George. I've been where I've had it happen to me, just like it happened to them in recruiting. You're recruiting a quarterback out of high school. I always told my coaches, we're going to sign one quarterback, we got to have 5 that we're recruiting hard to get one. Well, when you're recruiting the 2 and 3 with one, and 2 and 3 wants to commit, and you're waiting on one, you have to make up your mind if you want to take that or not. It works both ways. And I think they waited on one and lost 2 and 3. That's what I think. I think they really thought they could get the kid that went to LSU. It happens all the time. It's happened to me plenty of times before. It's just luck of the draw. We'll see if they end up signing one. But I think now, basically, the way I see it, unless they really luck out and find a graduate student, or there's a FCS guy down the road in the portal that everybody's missed on, that they find late, and that he were to come in and really be a good player, exactly like the kid that went to Ole Miss, they'll be lucky for that to happen. George, they were lucky last year. I mean, Nico leaves them late, and they happened to have Aguilar that was sitting there at UCLA that could come in. If that had happened, if he had been in the portal in this coming year now, and he hadn't signed and then left Tennessee late, they might not be able to find another one. So they've been unlucky twice in a row. Thank goodness Aguilar came in and did a great job. I said that the other day. I said, where is Tennessee? They've not had luck. I said they had one luck. Joey Aguilar was a good football player for them. A class kid, first class kid, went in the locker room and was first class in there and handled himself well. Think if they hadn't had him. So I give that kid a lot of credit for what he did. And I think he was hurt the last half of the season, and it proved to be. He got a surgery as soon as the year was over.
Okay, I guess I lied. I'm going to ask one more because you and I know the family well. What do you think young George McIntyre is thinking?
I think he's excited as he can be. I saw where he was down in Miami working out with receivers. Their better receivers were all down in Miami for some reason, and they're working out down there, probably having a good time too, but down there working out. I think he is excited as he can be. He's a confident kid. I've met him. You and I met him, spent some time talking with him at one of our functions there in the Fort Ice Center, if you remember. I think it's when you had me and David Cutcliffe there, and we were talking about something.
And he showed up. He and his dad, Matt, showed up.
Yes, they did. And we spent quite a bit of time. I think he's a first-class kid, highly, highly competitive. When I've watched him play, everybody's talking about his weight, and there's two things about weight, because I played some guys that were thin too. It is the weight hurting his ability to play, or do you have to protect him a little more because he's thinner? I think they have to protect him a little more because he's thinner. I don't think it's hurting his playing ability. If he's the guy next year, I bet you he's a good football player.
Wow. It'll be interesting to see. This was great stuff with you today, as always. Thank you, as always. Have a great weekend. Man, are we going to get some football?
We got 3 good days coming, don't we?
We do.
Good days in a row.
Sort of the last 3.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You're right. It's the last of any kind of multiple games we're going to have. This is it.
Hey, thank you as always. Enjoy your weekend.
Same to you guys. See ya.
Talk. See you. He's the best. He's Coach Watson Brown. Love having him on. A lot of takeaways that you can go with. Later in the show, I'm going to give you plaster bets of the day on all 4 of the NFL playoff games. All 4.
You're going to have to explain one to me. I was looking at it earlier, and I didn't understand.
A 2-team teaser
Okay.
is where you're allowed to place 6 points per game on however you want to do it. You can tease an underdog up and get more points, or you can tease a favorite down and make it a lot closer.
Okay.
You got that?
I'm ready for this.
Well, that's
I'm ready for this.
That's wonderful. Hey, I want to take 3 or 4 phone calls if they're out there. I know because I live here that a lot of you drive home a lot earlier on Friday than you used to. Used to be all of you were driving home right now. If you are, and you're listening to this, I want you to jump in. Take it wherever you want to take it. I don't care. But I want to talk a little sports with some of you at 615-759-9949. Again, 615-759-9949. Here's what I'm going to request. I don't know if it'll work out or not. I was in Clarksville yesterday, and we've not had a call from Clarksville in a while. Even though we've got an affiliate up there that's carrying us, I want to hear from somebody from Clarksville. Jump on the phones. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you. Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
By the way, good music. To welcome you back. See, that's my era stuff, Parker.
Good music, though,
Yeah.
George.
Okay, lay out something that just got out a few minutes ago. And this is what is now really, really wrong in college athletics.
Okay, so Darian Mensah, the quarterback at Duke, originally when he committed to the Blue Devils last year, had a 2-year deal worth up to $4 million annually. Now, he said that he was going to remain at Duke. However, came out recently that he's going to enter the transfer portal, and Miami is the favorite to land him. However, Pete Nakos, there is a however, Pete Nakos of On3 said, Darian Mensah's contract calls for Duke to have his exclusive NIL rights, and only the Blue Devils have the ability to cancel that. So it would appear that this decision is up to Duke, and for right now, Darian Mensah is trapped.
Well, but the other thing is that deep down, if you're sitting there and you're Duke and you've got a player that doesn't want to be there, what do you do?
Right.
If you force the issue, and legally it would appear they're within their rights, you know, what kind of attitude do you get out of that player?
Kind of like the Damon Williams situation. I don't know if I'd want him back. If I'm his teammate, I certainly wouldn't want to play for him.
Who was it I saw? There was a quarterback, and I can't remember who it is, that's having to pay back
Brennan Sworsby.
$1 million.
Yep.
Interesting.
And there's no buyout with Mensah's contract at Duke.
Yeah. Contract being kind of a.
It's about as it means just about as much as your legal pad up there. About the same thing.
This is a very important legal
It is an
pad.
important
There's
legal
a
pad.
lot of good stuff on here.
But you could write Darian Mensah's contract on that.
Yeah. For the record, that's how the pictures get put up, is I give Parker early in the day a list of pictures that we would like to use as part of this, or graphics.
All
or
of
both.
the above.
Yeah.
All the above.
Okay. I get that it's a little slow on the phones, but I've got lines open right now. And I implore somebody to jump in at whatever implore means. 615
Too big of a word for us.
759 9949. If you'll call now, we'll get to you pretty quickly. Tony in Nolensville is up first. Tony, what's shaking?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. And using the word implore is back to the early days of 2019. So, George, when you were trying hard to get callers to call your show when it was just you and Watson. And, of course, I was always there listening, and I always loved it that you implored somebody to call the show. It was
Well,
always
the other thing I did was I threatened to send Gruff Dog to your home.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, and listen, you don't want him anywhere near your refrigerator.
Who's Gruff Dog?
Greg Ruff.
Oh. You know what Ruff is, do you?
I actually know Greg Ruff. I know Greg Ruff.
Ruff is.
Tony, I just don't know.
That's true. That's true. Well, if you don't get a call from Clarksville, I'll give you a little update on Austin P. I did watch him last night.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, Corey Gibson was at Phyllis Luce's funeral yesterday. Corey's done a really good job up there.
He has. He really has. He's got them playing hard, and he's got them playing together. Last night, like I say, was a little sloppy. But I'm not sold on the fatigues. He wears them every game. And I understand the connection with Fort Campbell and all that, but I don't think you have to wear fatigues on the sidelines.
So he does it for every game. I didn't know that.
Does it every game, away
Wow.
and home.
Okay.
And, but it still looks better than what Dawn Staley had on last night, coaching girls over at South Carolina. That was unbelievable. what she had on, a big old hoodie and all kind of stuff. My God, it was horrible. It wouldn't win a fashion show, put it that way.
It's amazing, though. Since COVID,
Oh.
coaches can wear anything.
That's the truth. But Austin Peay, he pulled it out down the stretch, beat Eastern, which is always a nemesis for them, and even in basketball. And they're sitting now, I think, 5-0, maybe 6-0 in the conference, 11-5 or 12-5. They come to Nashville tomorrow playing Lipscomb.
Lipscomb won't be easy.
Right, it will not be. So that's where they stand right now, and I'm tickled to see Lenardi has them as a 14 seed right now. So I hope they can continue playing well and get in the tournament. That'll be fun to see locally anyway. Speaking of Vanderbilt the other night, one thing that I thought that what was done with Texas, what they did to Tanner. George, I think, and I listened to Mark earlier, I think he's one of the quickest guards to drive to the basket. I think he's got a tremendous first quick step, but I thought Texas took that away from him the other night. I thought they overplayed him to his right, and I thought they took that away, and I thought that was an important part of the Texas's defensive scheme to take away Tanner's effectiveness offense. Did you see it that way?
It's funny because I've kind of asked three different people, Lee Fowler, Ron Bargatze, Mark Griffin, okay, what, first time they've lost. So Florida gets that film, that they've, the way the machinery is now, 5 minutes after that game's over, their staff is probably in there saying, okay, let's figure out what Texas did. And I think you're onto something. Now that, okay, Texas has had some success, Florida's going to copycat it, and then Byington, or in this case, Tyler Tanner, are going to have to react to that and come with something different. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out.
I am too, George, because, it's the cat and mouse, the adjust and readjust circumstances, and that's just what I kept seeing, and it's going to be interesting to see how they readjust. They'll have to come up with some new schemes. I was going to talk to the basketball insiders yesterday on that, and hopefully next week we can get some calls in. But I thought that, and also, other than Nickel couldn't get his shot to fall, he'd hit one about every two or three, and it was just a combination of things. And George, these games where all these free throws, of course, you had the perfect storm the other night. You had Vandy that fouls a lot, and you had Texas who goes to the free throw line a lot. That was not a good cocktail mixture right there. And so with that being said, I just think they've got a rebound this week. It's Clay had alluded to it earlier in the week. This was a tough 3-game stretch. So they really got to bounce back Saturday before they go to Texas A&M. And my one last thing I'm going to throw out there, I don't know if y'all saw it, but Diego Pavia is one of the 6 quarterbacks that's going to be playing in the Senior Bowl. I think Arkansas's quarterback's in, LSU's Newsmeyer's playing in it, along with North Dakota State and one or two other quarterbacks. So I saw that the other day too. So, all right, guys.
Tony, let me ask you this before we go.
Sure. Okay.
Are you with me that, he's going to get into somebody's training camp, but I don't see it going much farther than that. I think you've got a lot of barriers in the NFL that, the height thing. Drew Brees is the one guy that, to me, has kind of beaten that rap. To me, he will kill it in the Canadian Football League.
I'm with you on the Canadian Football League. I really am. I think it's a perfect fit for him. But, George, once again, this is a guy you tell him he can't do something, and by God, he's going to go find a way to do it. And, let's not ever forget Doug Flutie wasn't real big either.
Right.
And he had a pretty good little career in the NFL. Wasn't stellar, but he had a pretty good career in the NFL. So, you never know this guy. This guy's got a heart as big as, the moon, and he's got a ceiling that he thinks he can jump as high as the moon. So it's going to be interesting to see. But as y'all talked earlier in the week, he don't fit the mold what the NFL quarterback is. So that's true. Have a good weekend. Hope you got some more callers on there. Be listening to you.
Hey, you have a good one. So, Parker, tell me who Doug Flutie is.
Are you kidding me, George? Please tell me you're not serious.
I don't know. I mean,
I absolutely know who Doug Flutie is. Boston College?
You have come up.
The Hail Mary? 22, number 22.
You've come up a little short on some of the things that go past 5 years ago.
I am a football historian, though, George. The other things I don't know quite as well.
Do you know who Doug Flutie used to play basketball with in this city?
No, I don't.
Me.
Really?
And Willie.
Was Doug good?
So here was the deal. Well, first of all, Doug Flutie might just be the quickest white guy I've ever played against. He could fly. Doug Flutie made it very clear to me. I was in my mid-30s. He didn't like the way I played defense. And I told him, I'm in my mid-30s. I don't give a damn. And if you can't handle that, too bad. Eric is on line 2. Eric, what's going on?
Hey, George, I can't remember if I told you this Monday or not. I had a friend of mine who was playing in a pickup basketball league for a YMCA game. He had hurt his foot. Luckily, doesn't have a torn Achilles tendon or anything like that. He's gonna. They said it's gonna take about 6 weeks to heal. He's wearing a walker boot, and he's got to do 6 weeks of physical therapy. Guess who he ran into when he was getting checked out for his appointment?
Bryce Harper.
No, it was Cam Newton. I mean, not Cam Ward. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Cam Ward.
Gotcha.
He said he froze up when he met him. I said, I said, you blew your big moment. I said, he sent him a text, said you blew your big moment, because he said he was so nervous he couldn't speak.
That's pretty good.
But anyway, George, I'm hoping that 4 games this weekend are good. I don't know if they're going to be or not. It's going to be tough to top last weekend, but usually this weekend, the divisional round, all 4 games are generally good. I'm kind of pulling for Buffalo. I would love to see Josh Allen get to the Super Bowl. That's the only team I'm really pulling for in the AFC, although it's going to be interesting. Of course, the Patriots and Texans, that Texas defense is just brutal. It's just going to be whether the offense for that game. Yeah, and in the NFC, of course, Seattle's dealing with the oblique injury to Sam Darnold, but of course, 49ers are dealing with a ton of injuries, so that game's going to be interesting. That could be a defensive low-scoring game. And interesting, of course, around Chicago with the cold and the wind and everything. I heard Matthew Stafford has an injured finger. I don't know if it's on his throwing hand or not, but it's going to be interesting on whether or not he can throw the ball. But George,
it happened off of him banging into a helmet in the Carolina game.
Yeah. George, one last thing, and I'll get off. And you kind of mentioned this earlier about, I guess it's Kyle Tucker now getting like $60 million. I was just watching PTI a few minutes ago, and Mike Wilbon, because of course left the Cubs, he said not only would not pay him $60 million, he wouldn't pay him $50 million, he wouldn't pay him $40 million. But it's unfortunately the way it is, and the Dodgers, I guess, are willing to pay the luxury tax for it. And I heard you earlier talking about Danny, that you and kind of him disagree on this. It's one of the unfortunate things about baseball, because I'm afraid that my team, the Reds, can't compete. And it makes you wonder if, like, for instance, when his contract is up with the Reds, are we going to be able to keep a guy like Elliot De La Cruz? Because I'm really, really worried about that, because somebody could just throw out all this big-time bucks out there. And I do agree with you, George. I think a work stoppage, unfortunately, is coming. It's just going to be interesting to see how all this shakes out. And also, when or if, because we're supposed to be getting a Major League Baseball team or be in the running for that in the future. And you wonder if Nashville, if we do get a Major League Baseball team, are we going to be able to compete? George, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. You take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, you have a good weekend. So we're going to get to the games here in just a second because, by the way, if nobody's noticed, I'm starting to be on fire again.
You are. I can't deny.
Why don't you just put that up there?
You want to do it now?
Sure. Yeah, I got a little time to take on these games a little more in depth than normal.
10-4 record.
Right? Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
You're 3-1 this week.
My self-esteem right now is high.
All right.
So back on take that off for a minute. The Kyle Tucker thing, which he was referring to, for those who didn't hear me earlier, the Dodgers signing of Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker's a really nice player. Is he worth $60 million? Hell no. No, he's not. I don't think the Astros feel that way. I certainly don't think the Cubs feel that way. Neither one of them, who he's played for in the past. He's a really good player. Is he at that kind of superstar level? I don't know. But what I think it has done is guarantee that we are going to have some labor unrest. And 2027 baseball, I don't know. I'm worried about that.
Doesn't appear likely.
Okay, let's go ahead and show people where I'm going with this stuff.
All right, here we go.
And I'll sort of give you some reasoning. I'm going to take Denver in the opener. The caveat to all this being Josh Allen, Superman. Well, you know what? He's going to have to be Superman for this to happen. He's got a bunch of receivers hurt. They're having to get a couple off the practice squad.
Yep.
That doesn't feel like the recipe to go into Buffalo and win. Now, on the other hand, Buffalo's defense may get a break because, let's be honest, Denver's offense, very hot and cold. They go through streaks in a game where they get absolutely nothing done. It will take everything Josh Allen has to win it, and I don't think it's going to happen.
I have a question, George. If Josh Allen wins this football game, do you think the Bills get to the Super Bowl?
You know what? They might.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Might.
That's what I'm thinking too.
They've played both of the teams that could be their final opponent. It would be a cool story if they got there. That city so desperately wants this. I just don't think defensively they're good enough.
I'm with you.
Game 2, I'm going Seattle. San Fran is doing this with mirrors. They are doing this with Kyle Shanahan brilliance. However, 2 weeks ago, all that brilliance produced 170 total yards of offense. That ain't going to get it done.
Nope.
And Seattle defensively is really good. I think what has to happen for San Fran to win this game, they got to score first. They've got to let Seattle know that, hey, we didn't come here to do what we did 2 weeks ago, which is be non-competitive. The truth of it is, if San Fran's defense had not been as good as it was that night, that game could have been 30-3, 31-3. San Fran was nowhere to be found. Kittle's out. You got a ton of injuries. I just don't see it. Now, there's always the other caveat. I'm going to assume that Sam Darnold's going to play, that this oblique thing isn't going to hold him out.
They said today that he would be playing.
But what happens if Seattle gets forced to really have to have him win the game for him? Is he good enough to do that? I don't know. Because his past history indicates that from time to time, he'll poop the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
That was good. Now, in the regular season, he's looked great. But when it gets to the playoff, or the lights are at the brightest, which Sam Darnold are we going to get?
2-team teaser. Seattle -1 at home. It's going to work. Here's the goofy one. I'm taking the Bears and teasing them up to +9.5. Now, in a 2-team teaser, both of those have to win for your bet to win. The worse the weather is in Chicago, advantage Bears. The Rams aren't used to it. They play on artificial turf. They play in a climate-controlled SoFi. I got news for you. There won't be anything climate-controlled about Soldier Field, except it'll be cold as crap and the wind will be blowing.
I saw today it's supposed to feel like -8 with the wind chill at kickoff.
And I don't see the Rams handling that very well. So let's get to the last one. You're saying, okay, why New England? Houston's got this great defense. 2 words, Nico Collins. Not going to play, concussion, suffered Monday night in Pittsburgh. They are not good enough offensively to do without him. Not against this bunch.
And I can see this being a very low-scoring game too, considering how good both of the defenses have been. But when it's that even on defense, I'm going to the possible MVP in Drake May.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of where I'm going. I would love, and I've been checking it for the last, 30 minutes or so, trying to get lines. So listen to this. What do you think Kentucky, Tennessee is in Knoxville?
Tennessee -3.5?
6.
Okay.
Let's go Vandy, Florida.
I have a weird feeling Florida's favored. Florida at -1.5.
Vandy 2.
Okay.
Let me see. Well, let me see a few more here real quickly. Let's go.
I would have guessed Florida. I'm surprised they're not favored.
Yeah, they don't go deeper into the schedule, but they do have those 2 early, and that's pretty interesting stuff. Hey, before we go, what I've been doing to go 10-4 is relieve some of the pain. The Dr. Gill Center will take care of the rest of it. If you have not been to see these folks, and perhaps you're older and you're listening to this show, partly because as the host, I'm older, skewing older. That's why they're advertising with us. They've got an initial consultation and findings for $49. If you're having pain, don't just accept it. Don't just have the attitude of, well, this is just the way it is. Because as Dr. Wendy Toohey has told us when she's come on the show, it doesn't have to be that way. They'll listen to what is causing the pain, what limitations it's created for you, and try to make things better for you. Give them a holler at 615-882-4838. Again, 615-882-4838. Parker.
I got one last word, or 2 last words.
Okay.
Bear down.
Bear down?
Bear down.
As in Chicago Bears?
The Bears.
You think they win?
I got a hunch.
Those who will be playing that game, a word to the wise. Check the weather forecast before you make the play. We're back with you on Monday. We'll have the review of a busy weekend at Sports and Social. See you then.
Extraordinary homes deserve remarkable appliances. At Electronic Express, we bring the best